doubts. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the nappy blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap, changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap, changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick.
Flat cap pastor dashing through pages. Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages. Leviticus, laws to Paul's fine phrases. Turning them corners, your spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalms singing sweet, unbroken lines. Hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limb divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the Navi blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed. I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed. I'm blessed. Yo.
I must have missed the section where it finished. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Strolling a little bit on the delay side today. Had family Christmas yesterday, and kids did not leave early, so went to bed. Well, still made it on time, but then couldn't sleep. So, and got up, but just laid in bed this morning. Just laying in bed. All right. Everything sounds pretty darn good, I would say. At least I think it sounds pretty good. And so that will be it. That will do. That will be good enough. All right. Let's get over to here. Find the window capture. Come on. Oh, yeah. You say you're on the right thing, but you're not showing the right thing. Weird when it does that. I don't know why it does that. All right. So looking at where we are, we have Esther and then Ezra, Nehemiah. So I'm going to skip Esther in our order here and see if we can't get Ezra, Nehemiah done this week. Maybe we can come back, like Friday or something and do Esther. We'll see how this week goes. I also know not everyone is going to be hanging around this week. So if you're watching the VODs later, appreciate you so much. And if you're just lurking while you're doing whatever's going on this week, this is one of those weeks that gets quite messed up. So for many people, anyway, I did preach yesterday. Thought it went okay. Had a couple pretty good engagements with it, but you just never know. So I will try and find that VOD if they put it up and share that, and then I've got to figure out exactly what I'm doing. So for this coming week, this is going to be fun. I have a 5-week series that I'm trying to boil down to a single message. See if I can pull that one off. And I see I need to change here, so we will be in... Oh, where is it at? Come on. Oh, that's the wrong one. Dum. Come on. Properties. Oh, come on. Ezra. There we go. Reading in Ezra. Okay. Better than Ezra. See, if we actually are going here, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, that is the order here. 10 chapters of Ezra. That's going to be a while. So we've got Decree of Cyrus, king of Persia. I might need to take some of these and put them, especially like the minor prophets and the prophets, put them in order a little bit better than just, Isaiah, Jeremiah, big books, then all the small ones together, kind of a thing. Okay, so in the first year of King Cyrus of Persia, in fulfillment of the Lord's message spoken through Jeremiah, the Lord motivated King Cyrus of Persia to issue a proclamation throughout his kingdom and also to put it in writing. It read, okay, so if we go back to Jeremiah, it's going to tell us, yes, Jeremiah 29, 10 and Jeremiah 25, 11 through 14, that after a period of 70 years, the Jews would return to this place. How these 70 years are to be reckoned is a matter of debate among scholars. Some understand the period to refer to approximately the length of Babylon's ascendancy as a world power, beginning either with the fall of Nineveh or with Nebuchadnezzar's coronation, and continue till the fall of Babylon to Persia in 539. Others take the 70 years to refer to a period from the destruction of the temple, 586, to the rebuilding it in 516. I think I like that dating better, the 70 being the destruction of the temple to the rebuilding of the temple being 70 years. That feels congruent with what would be going on. 70 years of the temple destruction, of the presence of God not being in the land. Okay. What did it say? This is what King Cyrus of Persia says. The Lord God of heaven has given me all the kingdoms of the earth. Okay, so here's one of those places again. I know you hear me point this out. People point and think that all means all, and we do, but all kingdoms of the earth does not mean all kingdoms of the earth here, because this is not North America, this is not South America, this is not Oceania, not Africa, not Russia. It's language used to describe all of the kingdoms that were conquered, all the known area, all the region. Yeah, certainly there's people outside the border, but that isn't the known world. That's the unknown world. So all kingdoms of the earth doesn't mean all kingdoms. So when we're reading a lot of these things in the Old Testament and they say all, we should not understand it to mean that way. This is just saying, hey, we're the biggest, the baddest. Okay. He has appointed me to build a temple for him in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Any one of his people among you, may his God be with him, may go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and may build the temple of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God who is in Jerusalem. Anyone who survives in any of those places where he is a resident foreigner must be helped by his neighbors with silver, gold, equipment, and animals, along with voluntary offerings for the temple of God, which is in Jerusalem. This is such an amazing statement. Okay, look at this. Anyone who survives in any places where he is a resident foreigner must be helped by his neighbors. The men of his place, yeah, the neighbors. Silver, gold, equipment, animals, along with voluntary offerings for the temple of God, which is in Jerusalem. Could you imagine this? Can you imagine this? Wherever you live, your neighbors are from another state, another country, whatever it is, and they're going to return, and when they return, they're going to build a temple to their God, and you are called upon to contribute to your neighbor's well-being, your neighbor's travel to that land, and to make sure that the temple for your neighbor's God gets built. Like, does this sound interesting to you in any way? I mean, could you just imagine that? I mean, I really can't imagine that happening today. But notice what we have if this is carried out. If this is carried out, and we'll keep reading. Here's the decree. if people are leaving the land and their neighbors are giving them silver and gold and equipment and animals so that they can go to another land and worship their God, surely sounds like the Exodus. So we have a second Exodus, an Exodus first out of slavery, and then an Exodus out of exile and captivity. So a re-Exodus is happening. Then the leaders of Judah and Benjamin, along with the priest and the Levites, all those whose mind God had stirred, got ready to go up in order to build the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. All their neighbors assisted them with silver utensils, gold, equipment, animals, and expensive gifts, not to mention all the voluntary offerings. Okay, what do we have on the not to mention? Besides, in addition to. Yeah, that flows pretty good in the English to put not to mention. So we do. We, in fact, have a bunch of people going back to the land with gifts, parting gifts. We have parting gifts once again. We're leaving the land, going back to where we should go, and parting gifts are given. Just so fascinating. Like, okay, so here's another question then. If you see this happening, that people are returning, your fellow countrymen are returning to the land where you came from, and people are giving them parting gifts to go, wouldn't you decide to go too? Wouldn't you think, boy, that's a good deal. I should jump on that bandwagon and I should go along. Hey, Lady Palace, good to see you. Oh, by the way, I did see your note there. I'm watching you people. Hope your phone is going to be okay there. Thanks for the lurk. Then prayer time. Absolutely, Lady Palace. Is it anything new, or is it just continuing praying as we have been? Just checking. Please keep in prayers for mental health, ability for our job, peace, and joy. Okay, absolutely. God, we're lifting up Lady Palace Athena, dear friend of the channel, and we're just praying for mental health. It is such a struggle at times to keep ourselves in right thinking. To not be overwhelmed with anxiety, to not be overcome with fear, to not give in to any of those things. And there are conditions that need medical attention. There are things that might need that. And so we're just praying for you to watch over her, give her the ability to perform her job, give her peace, give her joy in the midst of what has just not been a great new place to work, with bullying, with horrible expectations, with very, very little, it seems, effort to help train and give guidance and direction. And among that, it's hard to focus and do things well. We just pray that you give her the ability to do her very best in her job. Come alongside of her, allow her to excel, allow her to understand, and to find someone in that space, to come alongside, to be friends, so that it is a place that she can enjoy, looking forward to going to, and not just simply what she has to endure to be able to care for herself. God, we just pray for her. We enjoy being with her, and are so thankful for her. So God, pour out your love, your peace, your wisdom, your understanding. Comfort her. Guard her heart and mind. In Christ Jesus we pray. Amen. Hey, Papstio, welcome in, my friend. Hope you are doing well today. Hope you are doing well. All right. You're welcome, absolutely, Lady Palace, anytime. I am looking here at, oops, wrong thing. The The double Christmas lights are working. I set this up to begin with, and then it was only doing half of it. So I moved it, and today it's showing up as the full amount. I don't know what's going on with that. Now that Christmas is over, unless you're doing the 12 days of Christmas, which go all the way to January 6th, which also there is a part of the Christian church that waits until January 6th to celebrate. That would be Orthodox Christians celebrate Christmas on, yes, Christmas is not over, exactly, on January 6th. Some call it Three Kings Day, others call it Epiphany. Same thing we're celebrating is the arrival of the wise men, not to the nativity scene, but to a house. To a house. Actually, my wife and I just kind of did a little bit of wandering through stores on Saturday just to waste a little time because we haven't been out in a while. And we were looking at the Christmas decorations that were left over. And half of the nativity sets that we looked at had the wise men, Mary, Joseph, and a manger. There were no shepherds. They did not have shepherds in the nativity sets. They had, so I mean, I've got no issue if you do the nativity and you have the shepherds and then you throw the wise men in because they're a part of the story. Even if they're 2 years later, we just, combine it. I'm okay with that. But to leave the shepherds out and just have the wise men there, no, that is a bogus nativity set. Nope. Papsio, yep, we celebrate until Epiphany in our house. But then everything has to go because I'm tired of it by then. Well, I don't put anything up until after Thanksgiving, so I'm not tired of it yet. We've got another week. You know what, ukulele? You're probably not wrong. That might be why they were left over, is because everyone else looked at them and said, "Where are the shepherds?" That makes sense. I don't know. I think I saw quite a number on both sides this year of people, should Christians celebrate Christmas? Is Christmas pagan? All kinds of things going on both sides of it. And here's one that maybe you don't think about. Hanukkah is going on right now. When we get to this, I know I've seen it pointed out before, but I don't remember where it is. But in one of the Gospels, it appears that Jesus is doing the Hanukkah celebration. So that would have started in the Maccabean period between the Old Testament and the New Testament. It is not commanded to do that in the Old Testament in any place, and yet Jesus is celebrating that. So if you want to argue about whether or not it's not in the Bible, we shouldn't celebrate it. Well, Hanukkah is not in the Bible, and Jesus celebrated it anyway. I'm just noticing my border here got moved. Come on, there we go. I'll do that. I'll drag myself into the border. Lucis, hello. Welcome in. Okay. So we've got, hey everybody, you can go to your homeland. You can go back and rebuild the temple. Oh, BT Dubs, ask your neighbors for parting gifts. And then skedaddle. Then the leaders of Judah and Benjamin, along with the priest and the Levites, all those whose mind God had stirred, got ready to go up to build the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. All their neighbors assisted them. Oh, we read that one. Okay. Then King Cyrus, oops, scrolled a little too far. Yeah, let me move this back. That must be why I had that up. Oh, come on. I need the other one. The border. There we go. Is that it? Nope. I can't see what's even moving there. Oh, come on. Is that it finally? There we go. Now we got it up there. Okay. Hey, Smoke and Skizzo. Hope you had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, friend. All right. Then King Cyrus brought out the vessels of the Lord's temple that Nebuchadnezzar had brought from Jerusalem and had displayed in the temple of his gods. King Cyrus of Persia entrusted them to Mithridath, the treasurer, who counted them out to Sheshbazzar, the leader of the Judahite clan. The Persian name means gift of Mithras. Gift of Mithras. So, all of the things that were on display. Now, if you remember when we're reading through Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar captures all these things. His son, who becomes king, brings them out and is going to drink from them and pollute them and contaminate them, and there's the writing on the wall, and he dies. Apparently, they just get put back into storage, on display, if you will, in a temple to their god, saying, we've conquered the Hebrew gods. Here are our trophies from the conquest. And Cyrus is like, get these out of here. Take them back. Sheshbazzar. What is Sheshbazzar? Sheshbazzar, the prince of Judah, the governor of Judah. Okay, you're just telling me that. We need to know what Sheshbazzar means. Okay, 8. When it loads, there we go. Sheshbazzar.
Strong's H 8339. Sheshbazzar. Sheshbazzar.
Worship of fire. Worshipper of fire. Okay. This is probably his Babylonian name, okay? Probably not his name in Judah, but it is Worshipper of Fire! So, he is the leader of the Judahite exiles. Does this mean he is Jewish? I don't know that it means he's Jewish, okay? It might just mean he is assigned to be the governor by King Cyrus. It could also be like Belshazzar, Daniel, that it is his Babylonian or Cyrus, no, it'd probably be Babylonian, Persian name to go out. Okay, now we're going to get some listing of things. Why are we going to get listings? Because people would know what was in the temple, and they want to know what came back. The inventory of these items was as follow. These were the parting gifts that they returned with: 30 gold basins, 1,000 silver basins, 29 silver utensils. Not only that, but also 30 gold bowls, 410 other silver bowls, and 1,000 other vessels. All these gold and silver vessels totaling 5,400 can be yours if you build the temple. Oh, sorry. Sheshbazzar brought them all along with the captives, were brought up from Babylon to Jerusalem. Silver bowls, silver bowls. It's the time to build a temple. Nice ukulele, I like that. These are the people of the province who were going up from the captives of the exile, whom King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon had forced into exile in Babylon. They returned to Jerusalem and Judah, each to his own city. Oh, each to his own city. Boy, that sounds like Joseph going up to be to his own city to be taxed. That, I don't know. It just reminded me of that phrasing. Then they came with Zerubbabel, Yeshua, Nehemiah, Sariah, Realiah, Mordecai, Bilshah, Mispar, Bigvai, Rehum, and Baanah. Baanah. The number of Israelites was as follows. The descendants of Parash, 2,172. The descendants of Shephatiah, 372. The descendants of Arah, 775. The descendants of Pahath Moab, from the line of Jeshua and Joab, 2,812. Yes, I know. Baanah is missing an N. Banana, yes. Yes, we have no Baanah. We have no Baanah today. The descendants of Elam, 1,254. The descendants of Zatu, 945. The descendants of Zakai, 760. The descendants of Bani, 642. The descendants of Bebai, 623. The descendants of Asgad, not Asgard, 1,222. The descendants of Adonikam, 666. The descendants of Bigvai, 2,056. The descendants of Aden, 454. The descendants of Adar through Hezekiah, 98. The descendants of Bezai, 323. The descendants of Jorah, 112. The descendants of Hashem, 223. The descendants of Gibber, 95. The men of Bethlehem. Okay, so we're going with cities now here. So we've switched from descendants of to the cities. 123, the men of Netophah, 56. The men of Anathoth, 128. The men of the family of Asmaveth, 42. The men of Kiriath Jearim, Kephara, and Beeroth, 743. The men of Ramah and Geba, 621. The men of Michmash, 122. The men of Bethel and Ai, 223. The descendants of Nebo, 52. The descendants of Magbish, 156. The descendants of the other Elam, 1,256. How would you like to be known as the other Elam? When I was a kid, my uncle had twin daughters, and the one was named Monica. My little brother saw her, got introduced to her as Monica, and her sister walks into the room, and he's like, Monica? And more Monica. Her name's not Monica, but that was really funny. It's one of those memories that, like, oh, that sticks with you. Monica and more Monica. So, Elam and the more Elam. The descendants of Hiram, 320. The men of Lod, Hadad, and Ono, 725. The roll call for the descendants, exactly. The men of Jericho, 345. The descendants of Shanah, 3,630. The priests, the descendants of Jediah, through the family of Jeshua, 973. The descendants of Immer, 1,052. The descendants of Pashur, 1,247. The descendants of Hiram, 1,017. The Levites, the descendants of Jeshua and Kadmiel, through the line of Hodaviah, 74. The singers, the descendants of Asaph, 128. There's an important one, because now we're getting into who can do the work of the temple, okay? The gatekeepers, the descendants of Shalom, the descendants of Adar, the descendants of Talmon, the descendants of Akab, the descendants of Hatita, yeah, and the descendants of Shobai, 139. The temple servants, the descendants of Zahah, the descendants of Hasapha, the descendants of Toboeth, the descendants of Keras, the descendants of Sha'aha, the descendants of Padan, the descendants of Lebanah, the descendants of Hagabah, the descendants of Achab, the descendants of Hagab, the descendants of Shalmai, the descendants of Hanan, the descendants of Giddel, the descendants of Gahar, the descendants of Rahiah, the descendants of Rezin, the descendants of Nakoda, the descendants of Gazam, the descendants of Uzzah, the descendants of Peshiah, the descendants of Besai, the descendants of Ashna, the descendants of Meonim, the descendants of Nephisim, the descendants of Bakbuk, the descendants of Hakufa, the descendants of Harher, the descendants of Bazluth, that's a nice name, Bazluth, the descendants of Mahida, the descendants of Harsha, the descendants of Barkos, the descendants of Sisera, the descendants of Tema, the descendants of Neziah, the descendants of Hatapha. Wow, there's a whole lot, and we didn't get to a number there. I wonder who did the counting. Can you imagine trying to get everyone together without moving to count them? It's like try to take a group picture without everyone looking at the camera. I would think, Lucis, it probably would be more like lining everyone up, and as you passed a certain point to process, that you would then be numbered and or named in that manner. Or another option would be each of these groups would number themselves. Their person would come forward and say, here are how many that are in our family. So it could go a couple of different ways there possibly. And it could be a combination of those. What's interesting here, though, is look at the roles here. The roles in the temple, everybody's getting combined into, but their names are being mentioned of descendants of these particular people. The descendants of the servants of Solomon, the descendants of Sotai, the descendants of Hassaphareth, the descendants of Peruda, the descendants of Ja'alah, the descendants of Darkon, the descendants of Giddel, we already had a Giddel, the descendants of Shephatiah, the descendants of Hadel, the descendants of Pekarath, Hazabeam, and the descendants of Ami. All the temple servants and their descendants of the servants were 392. So look at all of these names that get mentioned. This whole long section, temple servants, and it numbers 392. I don't know how many names we had there. That's a bunch of names to then only have descendants equal 392. Yeah, your idea would be funnier, yes. 1, 2, 3. Stop! It was like counting my fish. You know, I don't want to be counting the fish because they're always moving. It's really hard. So, yeah, I know what you mean. These are the ones that came up from Tel Melah, Tel Harsha, Kerub, Adand, and Immer, although they were unable to certify the family connections of their ancestors as to whether they really were from Israel. Okay, who is this saying this about? Is this everybody in the list above? Is this the temple servants? Let me see. I don't know if this is going to give us any clues. Relate to the house of their seed. Yeah. The descendants of Deliah. The descendants of Tobiah. The descendants of Nakoda. 652. So we get 3 names, and we're almost double. Well, at least 2/3 greater than all of the servants' names were. And from among the priests, the descendants of Hobiah, the descendants of Hakaz, the descendants of Barzillai, who had taken a wife from the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite, and was called by that name. They searched for their records in the genealogical materials, but they did not find them. They were therefore excluded from the priesthood. The governor instructed them not to eat any of the sacred food until they were priests who could consult the Urim and the Thummim. Okay, so I think I know what's going on here. So we've got some saying, we are descendants of priests. We are the descendants. We can't find us, but the record, the genealogical record, we can't prove that we are. It's missing in there. The reason it is because our ancestor married a Gileadite, and so now we're over here in this other group. He's like, okay, you can go along with the priest group, but you can't do anything, and we're going to get the Urim and the Thummim, and we're going to have a priest who is consecrated, who can inquire of God and ask God, are you really descendants? Are you permitted to participate in all the temple stuff? Oh, that's kind of cool. The entire group numbered 42,360, not counting their male and female servants who numbered 7,337. Okay, what do we have here in this number? The same total is given in Nehemiah 766, but the numbers of the people listed do not add up to this total. The list in verses 3 through 60 is apparently selective, but it is not clear what the basis of the selectivity is. So if you were to sit there, hey, artsy Bible nerd, welcome him. Here's a good example of the Bible is selective in genealogical records when it's mentioning people. So we just had a bunch of people named and mentioned. Numbers were given to them, but if you total up the numbers, they don't add up. So if when we know that they are putting numbers together and then they are giving us a total for the number and they don't add up, there's something else going on with the numbers. I mean, here I didn't notice significant symbolism in numbers. However, just because I didn't recognize them didn't mean that some of those weren't symbolic numbers more than an actual number. Especially when you were listing some of them. Like if you go back to the I'm trying to think of what it is. It's before the flood, where there's the list of those descendants. They matched lists of descendants or lines of kings with the number of years they were, that the numbers were symbolic of the name, those kinds of things. So maybe some of those are tied that way and not meant to be the literal number. I think there's supposed to be significance in there, but what it is and the extent of it is probably more than we understand. Okay. They also had 200 male and female singers and 736 horses, mules, 245 mules, 435 camels, and 6,720 donkeys. Why do the male and female singers get counted with the horses, mules, camels, and donkeys? I'm wondering if the 200 male and female singers are part of the servants. But the way it reads, they also had 200 male and female singers and 738 horses, mules, camels, donkeys. I mean, that's kind of weird. When they came to the Lord's temple in Jerusalem, some of the family leaders offered voluntary offerings for the temple of God in order to rebuild it on its site. As they were able, they gave to the treasury for the work 61,000 drachmas of gold, 5,000 minas of silver, and 100 priestly robes. Okay, so where did they get these priestly robes? Maybe they were left in the family that they went into exile with them, or these were gifts that were given from their neighbors to bring along. So maybe they're priestly robes from a not following God, not following the true God, following others, but depending on what the garment looks like, maybe it's still viable. I don't know. Artsy, I wish my church had 200 male and female singers. That would be something, wouldn't it? I'm trying to think, what's the largest choir that I've heard? Probably around 100, I would think. I don't think I've gotten to the 200 range. probably around 100. I'm not counting a congregation singing. That I've seen in excess of, like far in excess of that. I'm thinking choir. Yeah, around 100 is probably the largest I've seen. And I don't mean just church choirs. Church choir might still be around 100 with a dozen people as the praise team in front of them, which that really bugged me. The dozen people in the praise team singing with the choir behind them, it's like, let the choir sing, people. Let the choir sing. If you're doing a choir, let the choir sing. We don't need a dozen praise team in front of a choir. Well, maybe for a Christmas production, they may have had closer to 150. But a college choir, I've seen, yeah, around 100 or so. That was fantastic. Anyway, I was going to see what these are. The Hebrew word drachmenem is uncertain, so we don't know what it is. So we're using the loan word of Greek drachma. How much it really is doesn't matter. It was what they were using. Okay. The priests, the Levites, some of the people, the singers, the gatekeepers, and the temple servants lived in their towns, and all the rest of the Israelites lived in their towns. So you're returning to the land, you're living in the towns where you're from. You stopped, you did some donations for the temple. You brought utensils. Notice when we were listing out all the utensils that were brought, I didn't point it out then, but I should have. The Ark of the Covenant was not in that list. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was noticing that the avatars is not showing up for some reason. Is there a different stream? It's still what it says it's supposed to be doing. Not. Why is it not there? I don't know why avatars is not being captured today. Axel the 14th. Hey, Axel. You have a quick prayer request. Absolutely. Please pray I become more diligent in fleeing a sin I've struggled with for a long time. Lately, I've been struggling and wanting to get back on my feet again. God bless. Thank you, Axel. Absolutely. God, we're just going to lift up Axel to you and anyone else. As we are approaching a new year, we are always looking, at least I am, and striving to say I want to be better in the new year than I was in the past. And Axel's struggling with wanting to return to something and knowing that is not what Axel should do. God, we are praying that the strength to be able to flee, to be diligent in resisting, that you provide opportunities to escape the temptation, to overcome that, to remove the temptation altogether. The things that bring that temptation into light, the ways in which it comes about, that you block those, you remove those, you remove the desire, you just change his heart and mind in such a way that that desire is gone. Give us all, when we struggle, the strength, not our own strength, but your strength. Because in our strength, we are weak. And we need your strength to overcome. So God, give us the strength to overcome our flesh, our desires, those things which bring us down, which harm us, which harm others. We pray this all and ask your blessing in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Sorry, I was just looking at the avatars. Don't know why the avatars is not working today. That is weird. Let me try it again. I'm going to put something. Oh, that's not what I want. Put something else in there first. It did do that. Now let's try this. Put it back. Still didn't work. Oh, well. Absolutely, Axel, and welcome in. Glad you're here. Have you, as I often will have people who lurk for a while and then come in, or did you just find us today and come in? I'm usually reading in the Bible this time of day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. All right. When the 7th month arrived and the Israelites were living in their towns, the people assembled in Jerusalem. It's the second one you've shown up for? Okay. I thought I recognized the name, but it said it was your first time chatting, so appreciate it. 7th month. I believe in the 7th month, it's hard for me to remember because their 7th month is not our 7th month, is when they're supposed to celebrate the Festival of Booths. So the Festival of Booths is where they are reenacting coming out of the land of Egypt. They've just come out of captivity. I told you there was pointing back to the getting parting gifts is a point back to coming out in Exodus. They are exodusing exile. So I'm just keeping that in mind. I think that's what's going to play out here. Our mind should be pulling that image forward. What did they do? How did we commemorate coming out of exile or coming out of Egypt, coming out of slavery? We did it by living in booths. So talking about big singing groups, the Brooklyn Tabernacle has a lot of people in it. Oh, yeah. I wonder how big it really is. It's a good question or a good thought, Lucis. I've not seen them in person. So I don't think that, like, on a recording you can fully appreciate the fullness of a choir on recording as you can being in a space. Then Jeshua, son of Jozadak, and his priestly colleagues, and Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and his colleagues, started to build the altar of the God of Israel, so they could offer burnt offerings on it as required by the law of Moses. Moses, the man of God. Okay, sorry, I just had another thought. I'm going to close. Oops, that's not what I was trying to do. I'm going to close and reopen Stream Avatars and see if that will get it to connect. Okay. They established the altar on its foundations, even though they were in terror of the local people. And they offered burnt offerings on it to the Lord, both the morning and the evening offerings. They offered here it is. They observed the Feast of Shelters as required, a Feast of Booths. They're calling it Feast of Shelters. Hasakat, traditionally known as the Feast of Tabernacles, rendered booths, is probably better than the translation tabernacles in light of the meaning and the term of sakat is hut or booth, but booths are frequently associated with trade show and craft fairs in contemporary American English. Okay, true. The nature of the celebration during the the feast, as a commemoration of the wandering of the Israelites after they left Egypt, suggesting the translation like shelters is more appropriate. Feast of Huts would be really funny. I like Feast of Tabernacles, but I get what they're saying. You're thinking of the tabernacle itself, but I don't think that's a problem. Feast of Tabernacles, because tabernacling is dwelling. Because God comes and he tabernacles with his people. He dwells among them. So I don't see an issue with the tabernacle. But shelters, I'm used to calling it booths. Okay. As required according to what was written, and offered the proper number of daily burnt offerings according to the requirement of each day. So we would have to go back in, I believe, Leviticus and get all of that info. Afterward, they offered the continual burnt offerings and those for the new moons and those for all the holy assemblies of the Lord and all those that were being voluntary offered to the Lord. From the first day of the 7th month, they began to offer burnt offerings to the Lord. However, the Lord's temple was not at that time established. So, the first thing they do, they build the altar. They live in booths in the 7th month like they're supposed to. Once the altar is there, all of the consecration of it, all of the sacrifices begin. They celebrate the Feast of Booths, but the temple isn't even built yet. They just built the altar so they could start worshiping God. Oh my goodness, I love that. So they provided money for the masons and carpenters and food, beverages, and olive oil for the people of Sidon and Tyre so that they would bring cedar timber from Lebanon to the seaport at Joppa in accord with the edict of King Cyrus of Persia. In the 2nd year after they had come to the temple of God in Jerusalem, so 2 years later, in the 2nd month, Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, initiated the work, along with the rest of their associates, the priests and the Levites, and all those who were coming to Jerusalem from the exile. They appointed the Levites, who were at least 20 years old, to take charge of the work of the Lord's temple. Okay, I don't think we spent time looking at who Zerubbabel was, but it's interesting. Like, Ezra and Nehemiah were originally one book, and they get split into Ezra and Nehemiah, but the first whole section is about Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel is going to be, like if you look at the prophet, priest, and king, Zerubbabel is going to be the king, going to be the leader, going to be that guy. He doesn't get the book named after him. Ezra is going to be the priest. He gets a book. Nehemiah is going to be a prophet. So, interesting. Trying to think where I left off. The 2nd year of the temple, the 2nd month, Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, did all the work, along with associates priests. Okay. They appointed the Levites, who are 20 years old. That's where we left off. So, Jeshua appointed both his sons and his relatives, Kadmiel and his sons, the son of Yehuda, to take charge of the workers in the temple of God, along with the sons of Henadad, their sons and their relatives, the Levites. When the builders established the Lord temple, the priests ceremonially and with their clarions, and the Levites, the son of Asaph, with their cymbals, stood to praise the Lord according to the instructions left by King David of Israel. With the antiphonal response, they sang praising and glorifying to God. They sang praising and glorifying God. There we go. Clarions, that's an instrument. These were long, straight, metallic instruments used for signal calls rather than traditional ram's horn. Both instruments are typically translated trumpets. Oh, okay, so they're translating it different instead of trumpet. So what are they saying? For he is good, his loyal love toward Israel is forever. All the people gave a loud shout as they praised the Lord when the temple of the Lord was established. Many of the priests, the Levites, and the leaders, older people who had seen with their own eyes the former temple, while it was still established, were weeping loudly, and many others raised their voice in a joyous shout. People were unable to tell the difference between the shouts, the sound of joyous shouts and the sound of people weeping, for the people were shouting so loudly that the sound was heard a long way off. So we've got a bunch of people praising and celebrating because we have a temple. And those who saw the OG are in tears because this one, it ain't like the first one. It ain't so hot. It ain't all that in a bag of chips. Not so good. Not so good. When the enemies of Judah and Benjamin learned that the former exiles were building a temple for the Lord God of Israel, they came to Zerubbabel and the leaders and said to him, "Let us help you build, for like you, we seek your God and have been sacrificing to inform the time the king Ezra had of Syria who brought us here." Yeah, that's it. Sorry. But Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and the rest of the leaders of Israel said to them, "You have no right to help us build the temple of our God. We will build it by ourselves for the Lord God of Israel, just as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, has commanded us." So we're going to rely on the king's order was for us to do it, not to get helpers. Yeah, they are such whiners. Yes, I was trying to get them to sound like whiners. Well, they're really deceptive too. They're coming in trying to, they're gonna do something nefarious. Then the local people began to discourage the people of Judah and to dishearten them from building. They were hiring advisors to oppose them, so as to frustrate their plans throughout the time of King Cyrus of Persia until the reign of King Darius of Persia. So Cyrus says, go build, and they're doing it, and then some people are like, we've got to get in the way of this happening. We've got to thwart their plans. Yeah, hey, gleeful sheep, welcome in. At the beginning of the reign of Ahasuerus. Who is Ahasuerus? Oh, Xerxes. They filed an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem, and during the reign of Artaxerxes. So it'd be Xerxes and Artaxerxes. Bishlam, Mithridath, Tabeel, and the rest of the colleagues wrote to King Artaxerxes. Okay, so here are the ones who are writing. This letter was written in Aramaic, but then translated. What follows is in Aramaic. Okay, for some reason, I thought it was only Daniel that is written in Aramaic. The double reference to Aramaic language is difficult. It would not make sense to say that the letter was written in Aramaic but translated into Aramaic. Some interpreters understand the verse to mean that the letter was written in Aramaic script and the Aramaic language, but does not seem to give sufficient attestation to the participle translated at the end of the verse. The second reference to Aramaic in the verse is more probably a gloss that calls attention to the fact that the following verses retain their Aramaic language of the letter in the original linguistic form. A similar reference to Aramaic occurs in Daniel, where the language of the book shifts from Hebrew to Aramaic, are written in Aramaic, whereas the rest of the book is written in Hebrew. Okay. That was a little confusing, but okay. Raham the commander and Shimshai the scribe wrote a letter concerning Jerusalem to King Artaxerxes as follows. From Raham the commander, Shimshai the scribe, and the rest of their colleagues, the judges, the rulers, the officials, the secretaries, the Arakites, the Babylonians, the people of Susa, that is, the Elamites, and the rest are here, of the nations whom the great and noble Ashurbanipal deported and settled in the cities. Ashurbanipal succeeded his father Ashurhadad as king of Assyria. Okay. Of Samaria and other places in the Trans-Euphrates. This is a copy of the letter they sent to him. Did Aramaic come from the mix of Hebrew and the Babylonian language? I'm not exactly sure on that. I know that Aramaic gets used in Babylon and in the Babylonian time, and is a language of like Greek becomes the lingua franca of writing, of giving orders, that you need to have a language everyone can go into. Aramaic is that language, but I don't know if it's just a sister language to Hebrew and a combination of things, or not. That part I don't know. So like later on, Greek replaces Aramaic as the lingua franca, even though Rome and Latin are around. Greek is so widespread, it just retains that use. But it's a good question. I just don't know the full details there. To King Artaxerxes from your servants in the Trans-Euphrates. Now let the king be aware that the Jews who came up to us from you have gone to Jerusalem. They are rebuilding that rebellious and odious city. They are completing its walls and repairing its foundations. Let the king also be aware that if this city is built and its walls are completed, no more tax, customs, or tolls will be paid, and the royal treasury will suffer loss. In light of the fact that we are loyal to the king, and since it does not seem appropriate to us that the king should sustain damage, we are sending the king the information so that he may initiate a search of records of his predecessors and discover in those records that this city is rebellious and injurious to both kings and provinces, producing internal revolts from long ago. It is from this very reason that the city was destroyed. We therefore are informing the king that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, you will not retain control of this portion of the Trans-Euphrates. Okay, so we got a new king. Let's get the king all worried and worked up. The king sent the following response to Rema, the commander, Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their colleagues who lived in Samaria and the other parts of the Trans-Euphrates. Greetings and salutations. Okay, what does it say on the greetings? Peace. Oh, why wouldn't you just put peace in there? That makes it, I mean, come on. That's a better greeting than just greeting. All right. The letter you sent to us has been translated and read in my presence, so I gave orders, and it was determined that this city from long ago has been engaged in insurrection against kings. It has continually engaged in rebellion and revolt. Powerful kings have been over Jerusalem who ruled throughout the entire Trans-Euphrates and who were the beneficiaries of tribute, custom, and toll. Now give orders that these men cease their work, and that the cities not be rebuilt until such a time as I so instruct. Exercise appropriate caution so that there is no negligence in this matter. Why should danger increase to the point that the king sustains damage? As soon as the copy of the letter from King Artaxerxes was read in the presence of Rama, Shimshai the scribe, and their colleagues, they proceeded promptly to the Jews in Jerusalem and stopped them with threat of armed force. Dun, dun, dun. So the work of the temple of God in Jerusalem came to a standstill. It remained halted until the second year of the reign of King Darius of Persia. Oh no, what's going to happen? So notice one thing that happened. There is a very, very specific thing that is said. King, go look this up. You will find this if you look it up. The king goes, searches it out. Indeed, it's correct. So they did not lie. They did not lie. They were correct. This city is rebellious. Go find out for yourself. You're risking danger here. You're risking danger here. Then the prophet Haggai and Zechariah son of Iddo prophesied concerning the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of the God of Israel, who was over them. Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Jeshua the son of Jozadak began to rebuild the temple of God in Jerusalem. The prophets of God were with them, supporting them. So we now have the prophets come and say, hey, rebuild, everybody. So they start rebuilding despite the letter from the king. At that time, Tattenai governed the Trans-Euphrates. Sether, Bozani, and their colleagues came to them and asked, who gave you authority to rebuild the temple and to complete this structure? They also asked them, what are the names of the men who are building this edifice? But God was watching over them, the elders of Judah, and they were not stopped until the report could be dispatched to Darius, and a letter could be sent back concerning this. Okay, did we just jump? Because I thought we just had Artaxerxes. Now we're back to Darius. Darius is the one who said they could do this. So, yeah, are we at different levels of he's not fully king, he's a provincial? I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, we'll pick that up. We've got an ad break coming in. So let's go feed some fishies. Oops, wrong. What? Oh, I'm like, what? Oh, that's right. I put no music in there for you, and I forgot. Okay. You're back, I'm watching? Okay. All right. I think we're close to being back from ads. So telling everyone good morning. We're getting all the good mornings in. Just getting the pond stream up and running. So we look good. And Avatars was not wanting to work over there either. So something might be going on with Avatars. So I'm just going to... Well, I'll try one more time. I did restart it. don't know why it's not catching it. Do not know. Do not know what's up. Weird. Hug at Lady Palace. Hug requires a valid target. All right. I know what's going on. Oh, well, you're passing some cookies as well. There we go. Okay. So we've got some rebuilding going on. We've got some other stuff happening. People trying to get other people in trouble. You ever have that? You ever have someone that wants to get you in trouble because you're doing what you're supposed to do? You're doing things. They don't like it. They're trying to get you in trouble. Maybe this happens at work with some people. Someone don't like what you're doing, and they're trying to get you in trouble. I don't understand this mentality of, I want to get you in trouble. I know some people think it makes them look good, but I don't know. Okay. This is the copy of the letter that Tatanai, governor of the Trans-Euphrates, Shethar Bozenai, and his colleagues, who were the officials of the Trans-Euphrates, sent to King Darius. The report was sent to him as written and follows. B, are we going to heat up some breakfast? Sounds good. To King Darius, I heard that your name is hilarious. Sorry. All greetings. Okay, is this going to be peace again? And you just don't want to say peace? Yes, all peace. Come on. Greetings is not as good as peace. I'm sorry. Let it be known to the king that we have gone to the province of Judah, to the temple of the great God. It is being built with large stones, and timbers are being placed in the walls. The work is being done with all diligence, and it is prospering in their hands. We inquired to the elders, asking them who gave the order to rebuild the temple and to complete the structure. We also inquired of their names in order to inform you, so that so we might write the names of the men who were their leaders. They responded to us in the following way. We are the servants of the God of heaven and earth. We are rebuilding the temple which was previously built many years ago. A great king of Israel built it and completed it. But after our ancestors angered the God of heaven, he delivered them into the hands of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, the Chaldean, who destroyed this temple and exiled the people to Babylon. But in the first year of King Cyrus of Babylon, King Cyrus enacted a decree to rebuild the temple of God. Even the gold, silver vessels and of the temple of God that Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple in Jerusalem and had brought to the palace of Babylon, even those King Cyrus brought from the palace of Babylon and presented to the man by the name of Sheshbazzar, who he appointed as governor. He said to him, take these vessels and go deposit them in the temple in Jerusalem, and let the house of God be rebuilt in its proper location. Then this Sheshbazzar went and laid the foundation of the temple of God in Jerusalem. From that time to the present moment, it has been in process of being rebuilt, although it is not yet finished. Now, if the king is so inclined, let a search be conducted of the royal archives there in Babylon in order to determine whether King Cyrus did in fact issue orders from this temple of God to rebuild in Jerusalem. Then let the king send us a decision concerning the matter. Okay, so now we've got another group inquiring about the temple and a message being sent of inquiring of what's going on. But it sounds like we've got two different crossing people in charge of going on here, if I'm catching this right. So Darius the king issued orders, and they searched in the archives of the treasury, which were deposited there in Babylon. A scroll was found in the citadel of Ecbatana, that which is in the province of Media, and it was inscribed as follows: Memorandum. In the first year of the reign of his reign, King Cyrus gave orders concerning the temple of God in Jerusalem. Let the temple be rebuilt as a place where sacrifices are offered. Let its foundation be set in place. Its height is to be 90 feet and its width 90 feet, with 3 layers of large stones and 3 layers of timber. The expense is to be subsidized by the royal treasury. Okay, so notice how we don't know any of this info until later. We're discovering this as we're reading to not know, is it going to turn out? Are they going to pull it off? Is it going to be okay? Yeah, we didn't have this info, but yeah, look at what the king did. Furthermore, let the gold and silver vessels of the temple of God, which Nebuchadnezzar brought from the temple of Jerusalem and carried to Babylon, be returned and brought to their proper place in the temple in Jerusalem. Let them be deposited in the temple of God. Now, Tattenai, governor of the Trans-Euphrates, Shethar, Bozani, and their colleagues, the officials of the Trans-Euphrates, all of you stay away from there. Leave the work of the temple of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews rebuild the temple of God in its proper place. I also hereby issue orders as to what you are to do with those elders of the Jews in order to rebuild the temple of God. From the royal treasury, from the taxes of the Trans-Euphrates, the complete costs are to be given to these men, so that there may be no interruption of the work. Whatever is needed, whether oxen or rams or lambs for burnt offerings for the God of heaven, or wheat or salt or wine or oil, as required by priests who are in Jerusalem, must be given them daily without neglect, so that they may be offering incense to the God of heaven and may be praying for the good fortune of the king and his family. So since you brought this up, and it seems like they're struggling, we're going to take your tax revenue and give it to them. Instead of you collecting tax to use over there for the work you're doing, that is now going to come out of your expenses to pay for the rebuild. Thank you for your inquiry, my friend. Thank you for your inquiry. I hereby give orders that if anyone changes these directive, a beam is to be pulled out of his house, and he is to be raised up and impaled on it, and his house is to be reduced to a rubbish heap for this indiscretion. May God, who makes his name to reside there, overthrow any king or nation who reaches out to cause such change, so as to destroy the temple of God in Jerusalem. I, Darius, have given order. Let them be carried out with precision. Boom. Oh, so good. Then Tattenai, governor of the Trans-Euphrates, Shethar, Bozani, and their colleagues acted accordingly, with precision, just as Darius the king had given instructions. The elders of the Jews continued building and prospering, while at the same time Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo continued prophesying. They built and brought it to completion by the command of God of Israel and by the command of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. They finished this temple on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which is the 6th year of the reign of King Darius. Okay. So, yeah, I get my orders of kings mixed up here. Okay. The people of Israel, the priests, the Levites, and the rest of the exiles observed the dedication of the temple of God with joy. for the dedication of this temple of God. They offered 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and 12 male goats for the sin of all Israel, 12 tribes, according to the number of tribes. Oh, there it is. They appointed the priests by their divisions, and the Levites bear their divisions over the worship of God in Jerusalem, in accordance with the book of Moses. The exiles observed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. The priest and the Levites had purified themselves, every last one, and they all were ceremonially pure. They sacrificed the Passover lamb for all the exiles, for their colleagues, the priest, and for themselves. The Israelites who were returning from exile ate it, along with all those who joined them in separating themselves from the uncleanness of the nations of the land to seek the Lord God of Israel. They observed the feast of unleavened bread for 7 days with joy, for the Lord had given them joy and changed the opinion of the king of Assyria towards them, so that he assisted them in the work of the temple of God of Israel. So, hey, the king over there is helping out. I'm all happy to help out too. Okay, so essentially, chapters 1 through 6 have Zerubbabel in there, who's in charge. Then there's elders. There was probably not named Zerubbabel. There's just not enough that happens in there to be a separate book. But the first 6 chapters could be a separate book. Since we split Ezra and Nehemiah up, we could have split that off as well, you know. We could have called it, instead of Ezra and Nehemiah, we could have put it, you know, return or something, first, second, and third return, that kind of a thing, because that's what we're really talking about. Now, after these things had happened during the reign of King Artaxerxes of Persia, Ezra came up from Babylon. You're back? All right. Ezra was the son of Sariah, who was the son of Azariah, who was the son of Hilkiah, who was the son of Shallum, who was the son of Zadok, who was the son of Ahitub, who was the son of Amariah, who was the son of Azariah, who was the son of Marioth, who was the son of Zerahiah, who was the son of Uzi, who was the son of Bucky, who was the son of Abishua, who was the son of Phinehas, who was the son of Eleazar, who was the son of Aaron the chief priest. Why did we go through all of that lineage? Because we are connecting Ezra in the return back to the land with Aaron, who was the first priest when they came out of captivity the first time. We're getting lineage, linking all the way back. So how do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 in between. So I don't know if there's anything significant there. The other thing I wouldn't automatically assume is this is everybody. Okay? Some of them may have been less important, and so if you are less important, sometimes you skip a generation or two when you're giving a genealogy. So just because we count all of these doesn't mean that's exactly the number in there. So for instance, if I were, which I'm not, descended from George Washington, I might try to give my lineage back to George Washington, but the point is to get to George Washington. So I might skip a couple of people along the way. Good morning, friends. Oh, Bob. Welcome in. Generations with only females? Oh, these are all male names. These are all priests, so they're not female names. Hope you all had a great Christmas. I did. This Ezra is the one who came up from Babylon. He was a scribe who was skilled in the law of Moses, which the Lord God of Israel had given. The king supplied him with everything he requested from the hand of the Lord his God, for the hand of the Lord his God was on him. In the 7th year of King Artaxerxes, Ezra brought up to Jerusalem some of the Israelites and some of the priests, the Levites, the attendants, the gatekeepers, and the temple servants. He entered Jerusalem in the 5th month of the 7th year of the king. On the first day of the 1st month, he had determined to make the ascent from Babylon. And on the first day of the 5th month, he arrived in Jerusalem. Now we could calculate all of that out. So he's the first of the 1st month, and then the first of the 5th month. So 4 months of travel. For the good hand of God was on him. Now Ezra had dedicated himself to the study of the law of the Lord, to its observance, and to the preaching its statutes and the judgments of Israel. Okay, I'm watching. I meant if the priest only had female offspring and had to marry them off or something. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, these would have been, well, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. You might leave a female out. I get what you're saying now. Okay. I missed what you're saying. Yeah, so if there's a female in there and then had a son, the son would get mentioned in the genealogy, but the female might be excluded. That's a good thought. I don't think I've thought of that one before, but that makes some sense. What follows is a copy of the letter that King Artaxerxes gave to Ezra the priestly scribe. Ezra was a scribe in matters pertaining to the commands of the Lord and his statutes over Israel. Artaxerxes, king of kings, to Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven. Okay, Artaxerxes calls himself king of kings. Okay, so one of the things that we sometimes get surprised by is when we study history and we learn that other peoples have made and used titles that God uses for his king and or for Jesus in the New Testament or even in the Old Testament, that those titles which we would account to Jesus, they may have had another origin, okay? So if you understand what it means to be king of kings, because Artaxerxes made this claim, and Artaxerxes was a king over all of the surrounding nations, and they paid tribute, and they were a king, then he was the king of kings. He is the supreme king on the top of the heap. Jesus being the king of kings is the same. So we take a title and we transfer it. It doesn't negate Jesus. It just means in that same manner, in that same fashion, we can think about those things. Okay, Zach Lee, good morning. Hope you and everyone are having a good day. I am, thank you. Good to see you, friend. I'm watching, yeah, like a succession of only female children or daughter born first and the male offspring, and you don't make it to adulthood or are mentally incapacitated or something. Yeah, any of those things, you might leave someone out of a genealogy. The other thing, too, is you're not listing all of the descendants of each person. You're only listing the one that gets to the next one, gets to the next one, gets to the next one, gets to the next one. So, for instance, when my daughter was born, there were 5 generations alive in my wife's family. But they were all through the women. They were all through the women were the 5 generations. Men were not all alive. Grandfather, great-grandfather of my wife were not alive. And then her dad's on the other side of the family. So you count all of those all the way through, 5 generations of women alive, but you also don't include the siblings in there. So my wife's aunt, not counted in that list of 5. My daughter's brothers, not counted in that list of 5 generations. Now, they would be in photos of 5 generations, but it was the firstborn girl, because it was always a firstborn girl, 5 generations, boom, bada, boom, 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 pretty much every 20 years. That's how you manage to get that. So, but yeah, genealogies are interesting, and we don't fully understand what is trying to be said or mentioned or pointed to with genealogies, and so there's that. Okay. Artaxerxes, king of kings, to Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven. I have now issued a decree that anyone in my kingdom from the people of Israel, even the priests and Levites who wishes to do so, may go with you to Jerusalem. You are authorized by the king and his 7 advisors to inquire. 7 advisors, interesting, totality, complete, all advisors, concerning Judah and Jerusalem, according to the law of your God, which is in your possession, and to bring silver and gold, which the king and his family have freely contributed to the God of Israel, who resides in Jerusalem. So the king is also donating to the cause. Wow. Along with all the silver and gold you may collect throughout the province of Babylon, and the contributions of the people and the priests for the temple of their God, which is in Jerusalem. With this money, you should be sure to purchase bulls, rams, and lambs, along with the appropriate meal offerings and libations. You should bring them to the altar of the temple of your God, which is in Jerusalem. You may do whatever seems appropriate to you and your colleagues with the rest of the silver and the gold, in keeping with the will of your God. Deliver to the God of Jerusalem the vessels that are given to you for the service of the temple of your God. The rest of the needs of the temple of your God that you may have to supply, you may do so from the royal treasury. So I'm sending money to you. You can request more money. You need anything else, make a request. Like, we're going to make sure this is all up and running. Okay. So we did have, with Zerubbabel going back to rebuild, that people who freely wanted to go could go. So that is a first return. Now we have a second return with Ezra. We will get to a third return with Nehemiah. If we look at the capture and the conquest going into exile, there are waves of exile, of one king going into exile and some people being taken, a second wave and a second king going and being exiled, and so on. So you have steady thing, not everyone goes into exile at once, and return, not everyone returns at once. I, King Artaxerxes, hereby issue orders to the treasury of the Trans-Euphrates that you precisely execute all that Ezra, the priestly scribe of the law of God of heaven, may request of you, up to 100 talents of silver, 100 cores of wheat, 100 baths of wine, 100 baths of olive oil, and unlimited salt. Everything that the God of heaven has required should be precisely done for the temple of the God of heaven. Why should there be wrath against the empire of the king and his sons? Furthermore, be aware of the fact that you have no authority to impose tax, tribute, or toll on any of the priests, the Levites, the musicians, the doorkeepers, the temple servants, or the attendants at the temple of this God. So you need to give from the treasury. You can do 100 of all of this stuff, whatever he needs, and you can't impose taxes to get this money back. Now you, Ezra, in keeping with the wisdom of your God, which you possess, appoint judges and court officials who can arbitrate cases on behalf of all the people who are in the Trans-Euphrates, who know the laws of your God. Those who do not know this law should be taught. Everyone who does not observe both the law of your God and the law of the king will be completely liable to the appropriate penalty, whether it is death or banishment or confiscation of property or detainment in prison. Your version keeps repeating the word speedily. Ooh, interesting. Where is that at, Sunshine? Also, good morning, and thank you for reading to us. You're welcome. I'm not sure where that is happening in here, speedily. Where it says but. Oh, bye. Oh, okay. Okay. That's interesting. I would get the emphasis of verse 17. Okay. The money should be you should bring them to the altar of the God which is in Jerusalem. Okay, so speedily. So here, purchase. You should speedily purchase bulls. So do it now. Do it soon. Do not delay. Okay. I get that emphasis of that. Like, don't hesitate. I felt like I was coming through, but that's even a little more. Speedily do this. Like, don't dilly-dally. Hope you had a great Christmas, Sunshine. How was it for you and the kids? How was it for the fam? Blessed be the Lord God of our fathers, who so moved in the heart of the king to so honor the temple of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. He has also conferred his favor on me before the king, his advisors, and all the influential leaders of the king. I gained strength as the hand of the Lord my God was on me, and I gathered leaders from Israel to go up with me. So there's an order you can go up. There's I'm gathering people. There is letters to confer, to give your permissions, all of that stuff, like papers. We need to see your papers. Here are the papers. We're authorized to do this. These are the leaders and those enrolled with them by genealogy who are coming with me from Babylon during the reign of King Artaxerxes. So we had a genealogy of the first wave that went back. We're now getting a genealogy of the second wave. Sunshine, it was blessed. Hope yours was great too. I remember you saying it would be Sunday. We also went with your mom Sunday too. Yeah. We did have a good occasion yesterday. My daughter, her husband, was able to make it. He's still trying to figure out his IBS. I think he was pretty fatigued and worn out and didn't eat much of anything. Just like, I don't want to risk it. But they stayed for a while and then had to return home. And then my in-laws left, and my sons hung out all night long, and we played some cards. So that was fun. Okay. So here is those who were going from the descendants of Phinehas, Gershom, from the descendants of Ithamar, Daniel, from the descendants of David, Hattush, the son of Shechaniah, from the descendants of Parosh, Zechariah, and with him were enrolled by genealogy 150 men. So we're getting some just leaders alone, and now we got 150. Got to spend some time with your mom's new husband. Oh, got to hang out with your... Oh, that sounds like fun. Sorry, my phone is vibrating. Let me see if it's nothing important, which would be my assumption. Yep. Ooh, you got to hold a new niece. That's fun. I don't have any of those right now. From the descendants of Pahath, Moab, Eli Hoanai, son of Zerahiah, and with him 200 men. From the descendants of Zata, Shechaniah, son of Jahaziel, and with him 300 men. From the descendants of Adon Eben, son of Jonathan, and with him 50 men. From the descendants of Elam, Jeshiah, son of Athaliah, and with him 70 men. From the descendants of Shephatiah, Zebediah, son of Mishael, with him 80 men. From the descendants of Joab, Obadiah, son of Jehiel, and with him 218 men. From the sons of Bani, Shalomith, son of Josephiah, and with him 160 men. From the descendants of Bebai, Zechariah, son of Bebai, and with him 28 men. From the descendants of Azgad, Jehoam, son of Hakatan, and with him 110 men. From the descendants of Adonikam, there were the later ones. Their names were Ephelet, Juel, and Shemaiah, and with them 60 men. The descendants of Bigvai, Athai, and Zachar, and with them 70 men. I had them assemble at the canal that flows towards Ahava, and we camped there for 3 days. I observed that the people and the priests were present, but I found no Levites there. So I sent to Eleazar, Ariel, Shemaiah, Elnathan, Jereb, Elnathan, Nathan, Zechariah, and Meshullam. Okay. The name Elnathan occurs twice unless some assume an accidental repetition would include it only once. Okay. So some just ignore it, even though it's there. Who were leaders, and Jehorib and Elnathan, who were teachers. So actually 3 times. I sent them to Edu, who was the leader of the place called Casaphia. I told them what to say to Edu and his relatives, who were the temple servants in Casaphia, so they would bring us attendance for the temple of our God. Due to the fact that the good hand of our God was on us, they brought us skilled men from the descendants of Mahali, the son of Levi, son of Israel. This man was Sherebiah, who was accompanied by his sons and brothers, 18 men, and Hashabiah, along with Jeshiah, from the descendants of Merari, with his brothers and their sons, 20 men, and from the temple servants that David and his officials had established for the work of the Levites, 220 of them. They were all designated by name. Okay. Sherebiah, the words, the man was, are not, okay. Yeah. Didn't, okay. That's all you were telling me. Okay. I called for a fast by the Ahava canal so that we might humble ourselves before our God and seek from him a safe journey for us, our children, and for our property. I love this idea here. We're going to make a difficult journey. Before we do a difficult journey, we're going to fast. We're going to ask God for his care and comfort and provision and watching over us, safety. I was embarrassed to request soldiers and horsemen from the king to protect us from the enemy along the way, because we had said to the king, the good hand of our God is on everyone who is seeking him, but his great anger is against everyone who forsakes him. So we fasted and prayed to our God about this, and he answered us. So, okay, in this process of going to prepare, he's wondering whether he should ask the king to send horsemen, which seems counter to trusting God. So, God, what should we do? Then I set apart 12 of the leading priests together with Sherebiah, Hashabiah, and 10 of their brothers, and I weighed out to them the silver, the gold, and the vessels intended for the temple of our God, items that the king, his advisors, his officials, and all Israel who were present had contributed. I weighed out to them 650 talents of silver, silver vessels worth 100 talents, 100 talents of gold, 20 gold bowls worth 1,000 derricks, and 2 exquisite vessels of gleaming bronze, as valuable as gold. Then I said to them, you are holy to God. You are set apart, just as these vessels are holy, set apart. The silver and the gold are a voluntary offering to the Lord, the God of our fathers. Be careful with them and protect them until you weigh them out before the leading priest and the Levites and the family leaders of Israel in Jerusalem in the storeroom of the temple of God. So we weigh everything, we hand it off. You're responsible for getting it there. When you turn it back in, we will weigh it again to see that you've got it all here. Then the priest and the Levites took charge of the silver and the gold and the vessels that had been weighed out to transport them to Jerusalem, to the temple of our God. So we got like 12 men doing all of the carrying of the valuables. On the 12th day of the first month, we began to travel from the Ahava Canal. There we go. On the 12th day. To go to Jerusalem. The hand of our God was on us, and he delivered us from our enemies and from bandits along the way. So we came to Jerusalem, and we stayed there for 3 days. So we've got 3 days preparing. We're going to go, and 3 days when we get there. I love these sections of 3 days. What are we doing for 3 days? We are there. We are for 3 days. On the 4th day, on the 4th day, we weighed out the silver and the gold and the vessels of the house of our God in the care of Meramath, the son of Uriah the priest, and Eleazar, son of Phinehas, who were accompanied by Jobad, son of Jeshua, and Obadiah, son of Benai, who were Levites. Everything was verified by the number and by the weight, and the total weight was written down at that time. Like, if I really could spend some time, I think you could do this on the 12th day, on the 3rd day. I get days mentioned in here. It fits. It fits. The exiles who were returning from the captivity offered burnt offerings to the God of Israel. 12 bulls from Israel, 96 rams, 77 male lambs, along with 12 male goats as a sin offering. All of this was burnt offering to the Lord. Then they presented the decrees of the king to the kings, seraphs, and the... See, I can't get all of it when it switches from the... into sentence structure. The satraps and the governors of the Trans-Euphrates who assisted the people and the temple of God. Yeah, we're not finishing up this year. Well, I think we can still get there with the exception of Revelation. I still think we can get there without Revelation. I'll be impressed if we can do everything but Revelation. I did not plan on singing the 12 days of offerings. Now, when the... then it won't be finished. Oh, no, it won't be finished. Yeah, we're not getting Revelation. No, I already knew that. A week ago that we weren't going to finish. Now, when these things had been completed, the leaders approached me and said, "Hey, Samarella, welcome in. The people of Israel, the priest and the Levites, had not separated themselves from the local residents who practiced detestable things similar to those of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites." Oh, interesting. So we're not only getting the ones who are in the land of Canaan, we're getting Moabites and Egyptians added in this list. Okay, so when we were going into the land, it was a land that needed to be purged of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites. There was a couple of listings there, Amorites, but Moab and Egypt were not on the list. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Indeed, they have taken some of the daughters as wives for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy race has become intermingled with the local residents. Worse still, the leaders and the officials have been at the forefront of all this unfaithfulness. When I heard this report, I tore my tunic and my robe, and I ripped out some of the hair from my head and my beard. So Ezra is hearing this. We know Ezra is a priest. He is acting somewhat as high priest, but the temple isn't fully in place. So he's going to go to the temple. He's not actually the high priest. So I don't think that the tearing of his robe and his tunic are a violation of him being high priest, and the high priest isn't supposed to tear his robe. Then I sat down quite devastated. Everyone who held the word of the God of Israel in awe gathered around me because of the unfaithful acts of the people of the exile. Devastated, I continued to sit there until the evening offering. Okay. I'm watching. Other than your blister reopening and your laptop being wonky, life is okay-ish. Thank you for asking. How art thou? Oh, I'm sorry your computer's being wonky. Mine was last week. I think I got it under control now, but it's slow sometimes when I start it up. The Devoria's emotes, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Hey, Pre-Pony, thank you for the lurk. Okay, this is one of these sections that sounds really, really weird to our ears. So I'm going to keep reading it. Please ask questions as we're going along. I'll add stuff when we get further along in it as well. Yeah, I hate blisters too. You're kind of okay-ish. Didn't have much sleep, but it'll be okay. Yeah, I had a hard time getting to sleep last night as well. It's an open blister on your stomach. Alcohol isn't. Oh, not a good idea there. Maybe peroxide. Yeah. Or even Neosporin. At the time of the evening offering, I got up from my self-abasement with my tunic and robe torn, and then dropped to my knees and spread my hands out to the Lord my God and prayed. So he is just sitting here in anguish with no words. No words. He's just weeping and crying about this situation. He's just weeping and crying, and he does this all day, just stews in what he sees as a horrible mess. He absorbs every moment of anguish that he can, pulls it into himself. And now he prays, "Oh my God, I am ashamed and embarrassed to lift my face to you, my God. For our iniquities have climbed higher than our heads, and our guilt extends to heavens." So notice he is including himself in this. This is one of the things that I don't think we do a good job of. We want to say, no, that's your sin over there, buddy, not my sin. I have no part of it. We don't have this grasp of all of us as the people of God. So you probably have heard me, if you've been around long enough, apologize on behalf of the church, on behalf of Christians for what Christians do that are horrible. I feel the right to apologize for them because I think they've acted wrongly. So I think we can do that. You might have a bit of Neo left over from last year. Got to look for it. Yeah. So he is doing this on behalf of the total of people, everyone he is doing this on behalf of. For our iniquities have climbed higher than our heads, the heavens. From the days of our fathers until this very day, our guilt has been great. Because of our iniquities, we, along with our kings and the priest, have been delivered over to the local kings to sword, captivity, plunder, and embarrassment right up to the present time. So he didn't include the prophets there. The kings and the priest and the people. But he didn't include the prophets there because the prophets, not false prophets, by the way, had other problems. But now, briefly, we have received mercy from the Lord our God in that he has left us a remnant and has given us a secure position in our holy place. So notice what we first have. We have confession of sin. Now we have a recognition of providence of God and provision of God and blessing of God. Thus our God has enlightened our eyes and has given us a little relief in the time of our servitude. Although we are slaves, our God has not abandoned us in our servitude. He has extended kindness to us in the sight of the kings of Persia, and in that he has revived us to restore the temple of our God and to raise up its ruins and to give us a protective wall in Judah and Jerusalem. And now we are able to say after this, our God, for we have forsaken your commandments, which you commanded us through your servants the prophets, these words. The land that you are entering to possess is a land defiled by impurities of the local residents. With their abominations, they have filled it from one end to the other with their filthiness. Therefore, do not give your daughters in marriage to their sons, and do not take their daughters to marriage for your sons. Do not ever seek their peace or welfare, so that you may be strong and may eat the good of the land and may leave it as an inheritance to your children forever. So he is going to the scriptures, and he's talking about, so he talked about, we've sinned greatly. God, you're so good. You've done all of this. Now I'm going to say where we've done the wrong. Everything that has happened to us has come out because of our wicked actions and our great guilt. Even so, our God has exercised restraint toward our iniquities and has given us a remnant such as this. Shall we again break your command and intermarry with these abominable peoples? Would you not be so angered with us that you would wipe us out with no survivor or remnant? O Lord God of Israel, you are righteous, for we are left as a remnant this day. Indeed, we stand before you in our guilt. However, because of this guilt, no one can really stand before you. Welcome in. Hey, Jagen van Nieder. Hope I got that right. Welcome in, friend. We're in the book of Ezra right now, chapter 9. So, he's doing this dual thing of what we've done wrong, who God is, and God's character. What we've done wrong, and who God is, and God's character. So that's what we're doing there. And what they have done is, it's, okay, if it's just about marriage, it would be seen as they converted to our worship and our gods, the same way Ruth does. Ruth says, your God will be my God, your people will be my people. She is called a Moabite because that is her heritage, and to talk about her being grafted in and to show significance to her. But she is an Israelite now because of worship of God, of the true God. She is part of the people of God. So she has come into the family. She is not, this is not, I don't think, a warning against it, because she now is Israelite. She is worshiping those gods. She isn't going to be able to lead you astray because she's not worshiping other gods. Okay, so just like a background of the difference between the two. Okay, while Ezra was praying and confessing and weeping and throwing himself to the ground before the temple of God. Okay, so he has traveled with people. When he gets to the land, he sees the people who are there, who were with the first wave who came back. The first wave who came back started marrying people in the land instead of staying within the house of Israel. They are going to worship with the other people that are there. They're going along with the crowd. They've come back. The first wave has been practicing things that he thinks we shouldn't be doing. Okay. So I love this, though. Praying, confessing, weeping, throwing himself to the ground. Have you ever witnessed this? Have you ever witnessed this ever in your life at a church, in a church service? Maybe some confessing and weeping, praying, certainly, throwing yourself on the ground, not in front of people, Not that anybody can see. Oh, no, no. Don't think so. Gather around him. Oh, sorry. A very large crowd of Israelites, men, women, and children, gather around him. The people wept loudly, so they participate in what he is doing. Then Shechaniah, son of Jeiel, from the descendants of Elam, addressed Ezra. Okay, so I think we've got the people who are in the land. He comes with people, a second wave of return, and he sees the state of those people who came in the first wave, and he is appalled by it. They are recreating what happened when people came into the land the first time. All of the wrong things they're still doing. We're repeating it. We don't want to go into exile. Why would God let us survive if that's the way it would end? Just some guy. 35 months of Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Dude, you're so awesome. Yeah. 3 years almost. 3 years almost of subs, my friend. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Yes, Lou says, I should be streaming all week. I have nothing else to go and do, so yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow. I'll probably be streaming New Year's Day as well, because nobody wants meetings on New Year's Day. So I'll probably be streaming, because people will need something to do. So, while Ezra was... Oh, sorry, did we just repeat that? No, I just read that. Okay. Descendant of Elam addressed Ezra. So this is someone going to respond to him. We've been unfaithful to God by marrying foreign women from the local peoples. Nonetheless, there is still hope for Israel in this regard. Therefore, let us enact a covenant with our God and send away these women and their offspring, in keeping with the counsel of the Lord. So we're going to do this, but we're going to counsel God. We're not just acting on our own here. And that those who respect the commandments of our God, and let it be done according to the law. Get up, for this matter concerns you. We are with you, so be strong and act decisively. So we're going to go counsel God on this matter. And we who just came with you, I think it is, we're all in agreement. It could be a larger group that are in agreement with him, where we need to know what to do. We're in agreement. We did something wrong. How do we respond? So Ezra got up, and he made the leading priest and the Levites and all of Israel take an oath to carry out his plan. And they all took a solemn oath. Need water, BRB? All right. Then Ezra got up from in front of the temple of God, and went to the room of Jehohanan, son of Elishib. While he stayed there, he did not eat food or drink water, for he was in mourning over the infidelity of the exiles. So he's like, okay, we're all with you. You go figure out what we're supposed to do. He now goes and takes time. He's going to go. He's going into this room. I don't know how long it is. We'll see if it tells us. Is it like he's already done fasting and mourning a couple of times? He's just demonstrated sackcloth, ashes, ripping his clothes, mourning and weeping and crying in tears. So I would assume, even if it doesn't tell us, that he is going to be fasting in this period of time. A proclamation was circulated throughout Judah and Jerusalem that all the exiles were to be assembled in Jerusalem. Everyone who did not come within 3 days would thereby forfeit all their property, in keeping with the counsel of the officials and the elders. Furthermore, he himself would be excluded from the assembly of the exiles. So everyone's got to show up in 3 days' time. I don't know how far they've gone other than the land of Judah. I don't think they've populated the north area yet, so that should be fine to get the news out and everyone get there. All the men of Judah and Benjamin were gathered in Jerusalem within 3 days. It was the 9th month, and on the 12th day of that... Oh, sorry. I won't do that anymore. All the people sat in the square at the temple, trembling because of this matter and because of the rains. So they're in rain in the middle of this. Then Ezra the priest stood up and said to them, "You have behaved in an unfaithful manner by taking foreign wives. This has contributed to the guilt of Israel. Now give praise to the Lord, the God of your fathers, and do his will. Separate yourselves from the local residents and from these foreign wives." All the assembly replied in a loud voice, "We will do just as you said. However, the people are numerous, and it is the rainy season. We are unable to stand here outside. Furthermore, this business cannot be resolved in a day or two, for we have sinned greatly in this manner. Let our leaders take steps on behalf of all the assembly. Let all those in our towns who are married to foreign women come in an appointed time, and with them the elders of our town and its judges, until the hot anger of our God is turned away from us in this manner." Okay, so it's rainy. It's the rainy season. You've gathered together. This is a big problem. We can't solve it in a day. And the people are like, hey, we're committed to doing this. We can't do it right now. We can't solve it today. It's not going to work out right now. We'll all go to our own towns. We'll commit to a process. We'll commit to it. We'll come to the elders. We'll get appointed times. We're going to do it. But let's do it in a wise manner, in a strategic manner, and with those whom we live. Only Jonathan, son of Asahel, and Jahaziah, son of Tikvah, were against this, assisted by Meshullam and Shabbatiah the Levite. So the exiles proceeded accordingly. Ezra the priest separated out by name men who were leaders in their family groups. They sat down to consider the matter on the first day of the 10th month, and on the first day of the first month they finished considering all the men who had married foreign wives. Okay, so we've got Jonathan, Jahaziel, and assisted by Meshullam and Shabbatiah the Levite. So we've got 4 people opposing the plan. It was determined that from the descendants of the priests, the following had taken wives from the descendants of Jeshua, son of Jozadak, and his brothers Maaseiah, Eleazar, Jereb, and Gedaliah. They gave their word to send their wives away. Their guilt offering was a ram from the flock for their guilt. Okay, we'll get more into what it means by sending their wives and children away in a minute, okay? But these are of the priestly and the Levite line. That's where we're at right now. Artsy, they were told to intermarry with the Babylonian in Jeremiah. Yes, Artsy. But this is people in Canaan who have returned to the land, it appears to me. So there's a first wave that went to the land with Zerubbabel to begin the rebuilding of the temple, and now we have Ezra coming. So those who returned to the land have started intermarrying, and it is the Levites and the priests who are there supposed to be worshiping in the temple and leading the people who are doing this. So I think it is a different circumstance. You've returned to the land now, and you're intermarrying in the land, not you intermarried in the land there and brought with you because he doesn't see this in the land when he starts out and journeys to the land. He sees it when he gets to the land. So I hope that clears that up, Artsy, if that makes sense. From the descendants of Immer, Hanani, and Zebediah. From the descendants of Harem, Maaseiah, Elijah, Shemaiah, Jehiel, and Uzziah. Like, how would you like your name listed here? Like, hey, I was one that intermarried. From the descendants of Pashur, Elani, Maasai, Ishmael, Nethanel, Jozabad, and Elisha. From the Levites, here we go. From the Levites again. So we had the Levites up above. Jozabad, Shammai, Kaliah, also known as Kalida, Pethahiah, Judah, and Eliezer. From the singers, which would also be Levites, Elishib, from the gatekeepers, Shalom, Telem, and Uri, from the Israelites. So we had the priests, we have the Levites, we have different categories with doing things in the temple worship. Now we're going to go to the broad category of Israelites. From the descendants of Parash, Ramiah, Isaiah, Malchiah, Mijamin, Eleazar, Malchiah, and Benaiah. From the descendants of Elam, Mathaniah, Zechariah, Jahiel, Abdi, Jeremoth, and Elijah. Look at how widespread this is. From the descendants of Zatu, Ilaniah, Elishib, Medaniah, Jeremoth, Zabad, and Aziza. Yeah, go ahead. You have a question? Yogan? Yangan? You have a question? Absolutely, ask. Your dad recently passed away. However, he did not believe in Jesus. What I need to know is, what is heaven if dad is in hell? It's a great question. I don't know that I have an adequate answer for that. I've heard people try to give explanations of it. I don't find most of those answers compelling as far as that goes. You know, like, oh well, you won't, like, people will say things like, you won't have memories of them. You'll be so excited by Jesus that it won't matter. But I think more of the quantitative state of being in the presence of God more than anything. So I don't have a lot of comfort to give you. Sorry, Yangan. I totally agree with you. If your loved ones are not there, what will it be like for you to have joy and peace? Or will you not be able to? Okay, it looks like we're going on ad break. So not sure when those happen. It usually gives me and says we're on ad break, and then sometimes it's 30 seconds, 60 seconds. So we'll be back after the break. So Yangan, if you want to add more, I'll absolutely, we can talk about that. Ooh, it's pretty wavy out there today. Pretty wavy. Let's turn on the sound. Let's see if we can listen to the waves. Oh, I'm turning that down. There's too much wind. Turn the camera a little bit. Cut down on the wind, hopefully. All right, I think we're probably back. We'll turn that wind machine off. There are a lot of things that I don't know how to comprehend as a person, as far as an eternal state goes. I hear people give explanations. I don't find all of them satisfactory. One of those is, how and why would I not sin in eternity if I'm inclined to sin in the current state? And I know the answers, but they don't give me satisfaction. I think the same with some other things of people will, well, and some people will just give you an answer to try to give you comfort. For instance, like, what about my pets? Will my pets be in heaven? Well, I don't want to be in heaven if my pets aren't in heaven. I'm not saying equating that with your dad in any way. I'm just saying some people will have that. Like, there's lots of things that we would state that we can struggle with and not have answers to. Youngin, it's just like, how could I live for eternity and having known you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, suffering for eternity. I know. I totally feel that, but I don't know how to answer it that satisfies me. So I don't think I can answer it that satisfies you. So I mean, I want to give you comfort in that, and all I can say is that I can't even comprehend eternity. Like, I've been on this planet half a century. That's it. How could I imagine always being? And yeah, I just can't. Like a year, 5 years, 10 years, that's about as good as I can imagine down the road. I can't comprehend further than that. So, Sunshine, the man in the Bible, didn't he ask to return to his relatives? Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a parable. That's a parable. He's like, can't I go and return and warn them so they don't end up here where I am at? And it's like, no. They have Moses and the prophets. They have everything that is needed. So you can't return. And also, if you're looking on that parable, he's over there in suffering, and Abraham is on the other side, or Lazarus in Abraham's bosom, I think it is on the other side, and there's a chasm between them. That's a parable. I don't know if that's exactly what it's going to look like when we get to eternity. I don't know what it's going to be. We've got lots of clues. We've got lots of hints, but it doesn't mean I can comprehend it. I think there is mystery in a lot of it, and we need to accept the mystery. We need to accept that mystery and not just think we have all the answers. I also don't think, Youngin, that people are always helpful when they say things. It's, depending on whenever it is that someone passes away, they often say things to make themselves feel better. And I'd rather just sit with you in the sorrow in the morning and say, I'm mourning with you because I don't know the answer. And I would, just like we're reading here, when Ezra hears of the thing, his heart breaks for the people. His heart goes out in anguish towards God. And my heart goes out in anguish for you, towards God. Man, I'm sorry, youngin. One of the things on the other side, this isn't necessarily a comfort piece, but we can never fully know somebody standing before God, whether they profess Jesus or not profess Jesus. We've had a lot of people in the recent couple of years who were high Christian leaders who stumbled greatly at the end of their lives, and info coming out about things that they had done or not done. And it's like, man, I don't even know who I can trust as a follower of Jesus. Regardless of what they say, all I can do is look at their fruit and pray to God on their behalf. Galaxy, thank you for the lurk, friend. Youngin, if you do need some assistance along the way, working through stages of grief and those kinds of things, direct message me. I have a friend who is a grief companion, and so she has lots of resources and help to walk with people who are grieving. And it's there'll be anniversaries of things or events of things that will bring up things along the way, but you'll also have your natural going through of grieving. So if you reach out to me, I'm offering that I can help connect you with her and some other resources. She's really good at doing that. So if that's something you need, reach out at any time. It might be too soon to do that and connect, but just letting you know about you don't have to always walk alone. There are people who do know and understand and do a much better job than me of walking alongside of people in grief. I think I used to be better at it than I currently am, and I think that is some of my own sorrow and grief and pain that limits how good I feel at doing it. So be praying for you, youngin. As a fan of Liverpool FC, that hits different. Okay, I don't know much about Liverpool Football Club at all, so I don't know what reference that might be to. Oh, you'll never walk alone is the slogan. Okay, I'm sure there was something, and it's like I didn't know what that was. Okay, yeah, I did. I don't want people to walk alone. No, I mean there's times where you need to be alone, but there's also like, man, I can just be with you without needing to say anything, and especially needing to say anything stupid to feel like I need to say something. All right, you can keep asking or commenting, youngin. I'm absolutely open to continue that conversation. But otherwise, I'll keep reading of all these people that done messed up. From the descendants of Bebai, Jehohanan, Hananiah, Zabai, and Athaliah. From the descendants of Bani, Meshulamah. Oh, he got mentioned up above. Moloch and Adaiah. Jeshub, Sheol, and Jeremoth. From the descendants of Pahath, Moab, Adnah, Kalal, Benaiah, Maaseiah, Mattaniah, Bezalel, I like that name, Benui, and Manasseh. From the descendants of Haram, Eliezer, Ishaiah, Malchiah, Shemaiah, Shimeon, Benjamin, Moloch, and Shemariah. From the descendants of Hasham, Mattanai, Mattata, Zabad, Eliphalet. That name always cracks me up. Eliphalet. I'm always thinking of elephant. Jeremiah, Manasseh, and Shimei. From the descendants of Bani, Maadai, Amram, Uel, Benaiah, Beriah, Keluhai, Benaiah, Meremoth, Elishib, Mattaniah, and Jaasu. From the descendants of Binui, Shemai, Shelemiah, Nathan, Adiah, Mechnabadai, Shishai, Shirai, Azarel, Shelemiah, Shemariah, Shalom, Amariah, and Joseph. From the descendants of Nebo, Jael, Mattathiah, Zabad, Zabina, Jedediah, Joel, and Benaiah. All these had taken foreign wives, and some of them also had children with these women. Okay. Okay, so we did not get. I thought there was more in that. I thought there was another section in that. So, maybe I just overlooked it. Anyway, one of the things is they're not just like abandoning these women and children. Okay, they are going to provide for them. And maybe it comes back in Nehemiah, but I thought it was in Ezra, so I might be wrong in this. But they are going to divorce them. Why? Because they worship foreign gods. They are foreign women who worship foreign gods. So maybe it comes back to it later and talks about this. But they are going to not just send them away and abandon them. They are going to care for them. They're going to provide for them. They are going to make sure that their children are but they need to disassociate, because one of the problems of the people before they went into exile was they were worshiping foreign gods. And one of the things that they were commanded so that they wouldn't do it is don't intermarry. Don't intermarry. Don't intermarry. And what did they do? They intermarried. So when they've come back to the land, they've returned to the land, they're making one of the very first mistakes they made by doing that. And so if these women would have converted and would have worshiped God alone, maybe they're not included in that list. Okay? So this is about the worship of foreign gods. This is not about ethnicity. This is not about preservation of lineage here, of the purity of the race. Okay? This is purity of the faith. Okay? I just want to make that clear in regards to what's going on here. It is purity of faith, not purity of biology. Okay? When we come into the land and those groups are mentioned to be destroyed, there is some destruction because of the stuff with the Watchers potentially, and the giant clans, and being descendants of angels or spiritual beings in some regard. Whether that is, or whether that is fully what it is or not, that appears to be the way that it is set up, and it's those groups that need to be totally wiped out. The rest of them, it may use language of we need to totally wipe out, but then it turns around and says don't intermarry. So there were people left in the land. You don't intermarry with them. Why? Because your foreign wives will lead you to foreign gods. That's the whole reason why. So, all right. We finished Ezra. Well, actually, we started Ezra. And we finished Ezra. So, Isn't that cool? So that means tomorrow is Nehemiah. Nehemiah has 13 chapters. So, all right. We'll find someone to raid out to. Let me see, since this one is working today, let me... Oh, no, never mind. It's going to move it, but that's where it is. Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. Well, and if we don't get Nehemiah fully done yesterday, or tomorrow, and we get Esther on Wednesday, I mean, then we're just Revelation. I mean, if we get Nehemiah and Esther done this week, we're just Revelation from missing the year. I mean, I think that's pretty good. And rather than try to push and say, let's read Revelation, I'd rather take our time and we'll start the new year with Revelation. So, all right. Who can we raid? Oh, wait, what was that? Oh, okay. That's what that was. Already did that. This week, I don't know who will be streaming and who will not be streaming, so... Da, 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 da. The Koi Pond is up and streaming, by the way, if you're looking for some Christmas music still. Fast food simulator, that's weird. On my brain, that's weird. I've worked in restaurants. I don't want a simulator. Let's go over to Kanosh. I have not been over to Kanosh in a while. Let's go over him. All right, let me send you off with a blessing. May God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out here, for being in God's Word, for loving one another, for spending time in prayer. Appreciate you so very much.
But honestly, I'm sort of a zombie. Yo, wait! Black Cat Machi, thank you for the raid! Let's go! How you doing? Everyone welcome in, my name is Kanosh. I'm currently in Germany, but I'm from England. How you doing? How was the stream? We're in a hype train doing a mashup, so big love, I can play you a song afterwards. Let me know what you'd like to hear. If I tell you what a nice guy to pose to, but I can tell you not to squeal when I approach you. You have to promise me to tell the news calmly, but honestly, I'm sort of a zombie. And you should be surprised, you can bet that I may not be alive, but I sure would have been dead as I. But for you, shorty, I ain't wishing you harm. You see, I try to hold your hand.